I don't recommend getting permission to do home value reports. Of course, I'm a big fan of home value reports. I think you should just do them and package them up beautifully and deliver them as a gift. However, if you need an excuse to call, here's a great one. I'm getting ready to do your annual home valuation, and I would love to know, have you made any improvements this year?
That's great.
You know, are you one of the people in line outside Home Depot this year during COVID?
Right.
A heck of a reason to call.
Yep. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the show Coach Amy Lassen. Amy, always good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Today's topic, 10 things to say to your clients now. It's a very interesting topic because I was having a conversation with a group of agents before I came on today's show about scheduling their hour of power, making calls, how this time of year is a good time of year to be calling. Using COVID as an excuse. Hey, how's it going? Right? Because what I'm finding is that agents still do not know what to say. They don't know what to say. So I think that's going to be part of our topic today. So where do you want to start?
Well, maybe we should start right there with call reluctance. Because Charlie, do you really think it's that they don't know what to say? They say that's it. Is that it?
Well, I think I don't know.
See, I'm wishing they were here right now, and I'm going to use this on my next coaching call. When they say, I don't know what to say, I'm going to say, I learned this from Carl. I think you do know what to say. If you did know what to say, what would you say? And then just shut up and listen. Right. So here's the thing. We claim that we don't know what to say, but I think it's a different type of fear. And the thing that I try to encourage everyone on, and yes, I have scripts prepared, and we'll talk about the 10 things. But I really do think this comes down to mindset. Because, Charlie, we could give them unlimited scripts. We could give them the magic beans, right? The scripts that are working for other agents. And if their mindset is still stuck in a place that says, don't pick up the phone, no amount of scripts will help. So the thing that I really encourage all my coaching clients to recognize is that you're not pushing a product. They always say, I don't want to be a pushy salesperson. And I say, please don't, right? So you're not pushing a product. You don't force people to move for a living. You don't persuade people to move. I have never tried to convince someone to move out of their house. Moving is stressful.
Right.
So if it's the right time for them to upgrade or downsize, or they just need to move for whatever reason, what we want to convince them of is that we're the go-to choice for our real estate service, right? So I've given the example of, what if my sister called me to say, I've decided to move to Florida? I wouldn't be scrambling for my script with, are you working with a realtor? Have you spoken to a local lender? You know, and we all do that. We all get paralyzed and get all super salesy. I'd say, oh, really? When did this come up?
Right.
Is your husband okay with it? How soon do you want to pull that off? Right. So I would encourage you to pretend that they are a friend and be way more genuine. Because if you're coming off salesy, it's probably because you think you need to be. And more genuine is way better.
Yeah. And I, when I was asking this group of agents, this came up, it was a time management discussion. And I said, can we commit just for the next week to schedule our hour of power? And then we were pivoting. I said, do you all know what to say? I asked the question because I could tell in their faces there were some people that were uncomfortable with it. But, I do think that we tend to overcomplicate it. And especially when we're talking about people calling past clients in Sphere, people that we already know. We're not talking about calling the FSBO, the expired, right? We already have a relationship with these people, and just being able to call them and have a conversation. And not to mention, most agents are outgoing and enjoy talking to people anyway, right? So where do you want to start with your, I think that's all a good introductory piece. Where do you want to start with your 10 things?
Well, I always start with where you started, just how are you, right?
Yeah, right.
And for me, it's how are you? It's been too long.
Right. Yes.
And no agenda. And now this is me personally. I never want to butter them up with Ford,
Mm-hmm.
friends, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Ask
Right.
them about those things. I think Ford is a great acronym to remember types of things that you can ask to keep a conversation going. But I'm not going to use that to butter them up for, oh, by the way, will you please give me your business?
Okay.
If I'm calling to ask for business, I'm going to start with that.
Okay.
Right? I'm going to be super direct and say that that's why I'm calling.
Mm-hmm.
But the first, I think, easiest call you could make is, how are you? It has been way too long. And just shut up and listen, right?
Right.
And then you can explore about COVID and all the other things. You can ask how things have changed with the house or whatever that might be. But that gets me to script number 2, which is, how are you doing during COVID? Like, be super direct about that.
Right.
Hey, I'm calling to see, do you have 2 parents working at home and homeschooling? Tell me about this, right?
Yep.
Luckily, we found that floor plan for you. That worked well, So I think it's perfectly legit to just check in with everyone and say, are you sick of COVID like me?
Sure. Right.
And just be kind, because the truth is, if we're in relationship with them for a long time, then we are the go-to when things change, when they're ready to make a move, or when someone asks, do you know a great agent? Number 3 is the very direct, have you had thoughts of selling?
Okay.
Right? So you can just say, hey, I'm calling with a simple real estate question. Have you had thoughts of selling your house? And you can say, have you had thoughts of selling your house in this crazy market? Right? Or, there's any variety of the, are you thinking of selling? Right? Outgrown your space. Actually, maybe this will turn into 20 scripts with all the variations of each one, right? So you could just say, has COVID caused you to rethink your space? Right? Yes, no, right? And the problem is, they don't have to say yes to make us happy. So don't feel all attached to what they say. The honest answer is the right answer.
Yep.
Number 4, and you've been talking about this a lot, and actually, I wish we had 50 people listening and we could just poll them all really quickly. How many of you have made this call to say, have you taken advantage of these crazy low rates? And if not, I would love to refer somebody good, local, who can help you with that, right? Make it a somewhat seamless process.
Yep.
Be of service, right? They don't necessarily know. And so my daughter, she's young, she's 26. She may or may not be a good example, but I'm her realtor. I know what her interest rate is, and I've been prodding her to refinance. And it's the paperwork, right? It's daunting. So I mentioned it. She was like, oh, that's a good idea. And then she switched jobs, and she's got her own COVID stuff going on, right? So, following up with her and saying, hey, did you do that yet? Like, it's just kind. It's just helpful. So that was 4 plus iterations.
And I think, and hopefully this isn't number 5, but I think, do you have a just in case HELOC, right? Have you talked to a lender about that? Because I think when COVID hit, there were a lot of people that became furloughed, had hours cut, laid off. They may have a lot of equity in their house, but they can't access it. You can't access the equity in your house when you've lost your job unless you sell your house. And having that in your back pocket just in case, I think it would have made a lot of people sleep a little bit better at night.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Although that makes me nervous for people who don't understand managing their money. I remember in, I don't know, a couple booms ago, my stepson was thrilled to tell me that he was pulling money out of his house because it was there. And no amount of me telling him, please don't, would listen to. I don't know what happened to that money. It's not there now, right?
Yeah, right.
So the thing that worries me about being the one to say, hey, go get a HELOC, is the average person is not very conservative with their money.
Yep.
So please don't go splurge your equity. Don't go buy a vacation with your equity. Don't do it.
No, but if you have nothing saved up, you have no emergency fund, right? Then having access to that is not a bad idea, and talking to a lender about what the terms of that loan might be. And if it works for you, fine. But no, you don't want to squander it. And, that helped with the Great Recession, right? People were taking tons of money out, then they didn't have equity. And anyway, I agree.
Yeah, but you're totally right. And so I just hope everybody watching this will understand, having, like you said, right now while you qualify, put your HELOC in place and then it's there if you need it, right? Yeah. Excellent point. Are you interested in your home's new value? Everybody is. Everybody is, right? It's interesting to hear from the various markets. And Charlie, you and I probably should, well, I should ask if you already did it. I was going to say we should have, and maybe you did, ask all of our coaching clients in all the various markets, do you know is the average price, what the average price is up year over year in your market, right?
Right.
Because supposedly in my whole MLS area, it's 12.7.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy. But I heard a number from one of your markets, from one of the agents at your brokerage, and I can't remember. It seemed like it was close to 10. I don't remember. It seemed pretty high.
Yeah.
So everybody's got to feel it, right? It's just crazy. And I was sharing with some coaching clients, my neighborhood, I've done the math on my neighborhood, like how much it turns over. It's got to be 2 or 3 times what I've calculated, because there are signs everywhere.
Okay. Yeah.
Based on my math, 5 will sell per month. There's 5 within walking distance of my house.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think if we just say, are you interested in your home's new value? They're going to say yes.
Right.
That leads to a longer conversation.
Excellent. Good.
I wrote some long ones that even as I wrote them, I thought, I don't know, this is challenging, but I'm gonna read them, and then you can have some ideas and then take what works for you. I wrote, I want to be your resource for everything real estate related, so don't hesitate to call me with any questions. If you're thinking of refinancing, remodeling, or just have questions about this crazy market, please call me. I can even help your friends and family in other states find real estate agents.
That's great.
Do you have any questions for me now? Right?
Yeah.
Be clear. We tend to not be clear about communicating our service, right?
Right.
And don't be that person who thinks I told them once they should have remembered. They don't know, right? Yep. So we really do need to educate people and be genuine and be authentic about how much in service we are. I've shared the story before about buying my first home in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we found our agent on the back of like Homes and Land or whatever it was back on the back of the magazine.
Yeah.
And she was very nice and she was quite successful. I remember she had driven all the areas before we came, and she had like sort of previewed, which I thought was really interesting. I was like, wow, that seemed above and beyond.
Yeah.
But when I remember feeling like I was the one who did the negotiating, which was weird because I was young and I didn't know anything.
Okay. Yeah.
But when we closed, the guy who represented the seller, and the seller was the community college. The community college had built this house as a project. This house. And there was, believe this or not, hand-rubbed oak handrails and baseboards throughout the house. These children, these 18-year-old kids, had been taught a lot of skills in building this house. So the guy who represented the college, I didn't really understand how real estate worked. I didn't understand that she represented us and he represented them. I just thought somehow he represented the product, which was the house, you know? And he said to me, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call. So like 2 months later, when my porch light stopped working, I called John Thorpe at Coldwell Banker. I still remember the man's name, you know? And I don't know if he personally replaced that light or what happened to this day. Because I look back at it and I'm like, wait, how did that work? Like, I seriously doubt he got somebody at the community college to run over there and fix it.
Right.
But when we moved to Colorado, you better believe that man was the go-to for referrals for me and my husband, who were both in real estate finally, you know, a decade or more later. The man was really, really genuine. She, on the other hand, never followed up with me until about a year later. She called me out of the blue and asked me for my dad's contact information because she needed help with her houseboat. I'm like, so don't be that agent. But I will tell you, I took John Thorpe seriously that he would be there for me. So whether that was just me misunderstanding, it got the man referrals down the road.
Right. No, I like that. And a couple of things that you mentioned, you know, you can also do the reverse. And I know we're talking about things to say to your client now, but the one that you just described is the annual client letter, basically in a nutshell, right? And then the one before that was the annual home value report. So both of those projects are on theallegianceway.com. Click on, you know, get more sellers and you'll find them there. So just as an idea, You could make the calls and ask the questions, or you could send the letters and the reports and then call the follow up if that is even easier. Hey, did you get my letter? Hey, did you get my report? What questions do you have? So anyway.
That's a really good point. And Charlie, here's another one. And this is whatever it takes to get you on the phone, people. None of these are better than anything else. Just do it.
Yeah.
But Charlie, I don't recommend getting permission to do home value reports. Of course, I'm a big fan of home value reports. I think you should just do them and package them up beautifully and deliver them as a gift. However, if you need an excuse to call, here's a great one. I'm getting ready to do your annual home valuation, and I would love to know, have you made any improvements this year?
That's right.
You know, are you one of the people in line outside Home Depot this year during COVID?
Right.
A heck of a reason to call.
Yep. Agreed. No, that's excellent. Good.
Okay, so another one is, and this actually is more of an intro than an actual script, but this is a business call. Do you have a minute? Like if you're going to make it about real estate, don't butter them up and drag it out and make them uncomfortable, right? Okay. We all know that cold salesperson who pretends they know us and just, don't be that person, right? So I say, I'm calling with my real estate hat on. I have a very specific question, right? That's what I say.
Okay.
This is a business call. Do you have a minute? That's a really common script that a lot of coaches and trainers recommend. How about, what kind of pie do you want? That's pretty easy. Plenty of people are doing reverse pop buys or pie events. Even with COVID, there are different ways of doing pie events. I know someone who's going to have people just pull up into the parking lot of the brokerage and just text and say, I'm here. And the team members will run out with their pie. Like, they don't even have to put on a mask. And I have a friend who has been doing drive-through type events. She did a taco truck event where people would just pull up their cars like a movie drive-through, and they would just drive through and get their tacos.
Nice.
So there are ways to do the pie event. I have a few coaching clients who are planning to drive all over Helen Gun and hand deliver them. I begged them not to. There's a lot of driving, but whatever. So what kind of pie do you want is a perfectly good call?
No, that's a good one. And we were discussing that on our group coaching this morning as well. And there's somebody that's ordering 100 pies. She's doing a reverse pie buy. People are coming to her house. They can come in her house if they want. If they don't, they can just call or text and she'll take the pie out to the street.
Great.
Exactly. No, and she's buying these pies from a local bakery. I know we've talked about client events and everything else in the last few weeks, but the local bakeries are suffering, right? Especially the bakeries that were doing wedding cakes. And I mean, weddings stopped earlier this year, right? I know they're getting cranked, they're happening again now, but I mean, if you have a local bakery, they've really suffered, and to order 100 pies from them is a big deal to them.
I think it really is. And let's just pause on that one, because I think it's such an extraordinary thing. We talked about this before when we talked about holiday events. That I used to be such a cynic and so critical of agents who thought a Costco pie was good enough. And I would just say that was crap. And then they would do these amazing events with Costco. I'm like, somebody would drive across town for a $5 pie.
Right.
No. And then it works. So everything works is the answer.
Yes.
But I love the hyper local thing. And here's the other thing, like, and maybe this is just taking advantage of the situation, but when you partner with any local vendor or other professional, you have twice the audience. Right? When you make a huge splash of really supporting this local vendor, and you post on your page and you like their page and you tag them, right? All this stuff has a little bit more of a viral component. And I don't want that to sound too, I can't think of the word, like you're taking advantage, but, but it's twice the visibility for you both. Right? That's another reason why it's great to do video interviews. Actually, that would be a great follow-on. Interview the bakery owner and talk to them about how long have you been, well, I'm pretending you need a microphone, which you don't. So how long have you been in our community, and how has it been for you during COVID? And, talk about the good and the bad, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. Good.
Yeah. So my last scripts, and we are definitely at 10 already, but I have some others that I'm not, these are the ones I think that are long, and I'm not sure that I nailed them. I really believe that none of us knows where this is going. Right? This whole, what do you think the house is worth, Amy? What do you think? What should I offer? Right? Or where should I list it? It's like, I don't know, let me get out my Ouija board. Like, looking at the comps isn't even helping,
right?
Because that's yesterday's news. So this is the reason I dreamed up this script. I'm trying to predict the future, by finding out who may be selling their home in the next 6 months or so. This market is moving so fast that if I'm going to help my buyers, there's something in the way, I'm having to be proactive in finding them homes to buy. Who do you know who may be considering selling their home? Will you let me know when you come upon these people, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then bonus, and we may be at 11, 12, or 13 at this point, because 10% of all people move every year. It's almost a certainty that you will encounter someone in the next year looking to make a move. I'd appreciate it if you would call me with their information so I can follow up with them.
That's a good one too.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much to say. And I think that getting back to what we were talking about at the beginning, it's the drunk monkey, it's the call reluctance, it's, I know I need to make my calls, but God, please let somebody call me, or please let me get an email that I need to respond to so I don't have to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And we know that the activities that we're working on now are setting us up for success in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So, Amy just gave us, I think as we massage these, we're probably at closer to 15 of these, right? Different ways to do it. You want to send the letter first? Fine. You want to call first? Fine. There's still time to do pies. Honestly, there's still time to do it. So if you're thinking, oh, it's almost November, I'll do it next year. No, you can do it now. You don't need to do 100. But the agent that I was talking to about this 100 pies, she's getting ready to do her evites, I think this week, follow-up calls next week. There's time, right? They're not baking your pies for the Monday before Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, I think what we said, last Friday, just do something.
Sure.
Do something.
Well, and I want to make another point on mindset. The majority of the people you call will not give you any business on that call.
Right.
Why? Because, like, ask me, who do I know that's getting ready to list their home right now? Well, besides the client who called me, I can't really think of anybody. I don't know. So don't be all crabby if they say, I can't think of anybody. That's probably honest. Yep. What we have to do is just start it. Start being consistent. If you haven't been consistent, start.
Yep.
So that you are top of mind when that opportunity arises, right? Provide extraordinary service over time so that you are their go-to referral source. So don't be crabby. Don't assume that half of them should say, yeah, call my brother-in-law. Easily 90% of them will say no. And that should be expected. So be prepared that this is not I'm going to make 3 calls and I'm going to have a listing.
Yep.
Right? This is, I make my calls every day to stay in community with my people because I have 300 people in my database. And over time, about 10% of them will use me or refer me if I provide good service.
Exactly. Yes. We are setting ourselves up for future success by making these calls. Right.
You're brushing your teeth.
Yep.
Do it every day.
Yep. Yep. Very good. Always good to see you, Amy.
You too.
It will be the Amy and Eyerusalem show this coming Friday. And I think that I hear it's going to be spooktacular.
It's going to be spooktacular. We have a spooky topic. I can see Eyerusalem cracking up off stage.
We've discussed that, news anchors have a cough button that they can hit when they're about to cough, and she needs a giggle button that she can hit when she's about to giggle. I wish everybody could see what's happening backstage. You and I can. There's a lot of giggling going on. So I'm off on Friday. I hope you guys have a spooktacular show, and I will see you back here next Wednesday, Amy.
Great.